Great morning, great afternoon, and great evening. This is actually take 2 on my Mind Body Factor Live, Your Pains in the Neck and the Knees. My earlier broadcast got cut off by a phone call. My partner Michelle called me to let me know that she needed to, she wanted me to put her celery juice in the fridge. And I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I'll need to make sure I remember to do that. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you to people who did tune in live. I'll get to do this again. So this is my second run through. Today we're going to talk about the pains in the neck. So, what that represents, what the anatomy is, and what it represents. And I'll be able to share actually a really interesting experience I had this morning actually working on my neck. Although I was working on something else, but it ended up being very relevant and divine timing. And we'll also talk about the knees. So let's dive right in. So just a quick review. The mind-body factor is my take on the mind-body connection. And I break it down into 3 parts. It consists of the body, our mindset, and our wisdom. So the body is the awareness of what we're feeling. So anytime we have a symptom, the symptom represents an emotion, it represents energy, and at its core, it represents vibration. I learned recently this year that vibration is at the core of everything. Everything in this universe is energy and vibration, and that vibration, when it comes to a human body and mind, it represents the underlying. It's the underlying thing that drives movement and language, and so everything is a vibration. And so when we have a symptom that represents a vibration, and then on top of that is an emotion, and it represents some kind of movement and some kind of unexpressed emotion. So our body is our vehicle. It's like our BMW, body, mindset, wisdom. And it is what allows us to, live life and have a human experience. Our mindset is how we're using our mind to become conscious of our perceptions. So as we're experiencing life, we're taking in, we're perceiving things through our perceptions, and we're perceiving them through our value system. So if you've done the DeMartini value system, we all have a hierarchy of values, and we're perceiving the world through that lens. And that's what determines whether we see things as positive or negative. If it supports our values, we put a positive spin on it. If it challenges our values, we put a negative spin on it. And that's what creates emotion. And that's what determines the vibration, and that's what determines how we're experiencing it. And anytime we put a spin on things and we put an emotion, we split the information, we create an emotional charge. And if we don't take the time to tune into it and process it, that's what becomes our symptoms. It literally, these emotional charges and memories of those emotions will store all over our body. And so the wisdom portion of it is to be able to become aware and use your mind and body to tune in, to be able to process it and gain the knowledge and gain the wisdom by taking action, by applying the knowledge from the messages within. Every symptom has a message behind it. So anytime you have a pain in your body, there's actually hidden wisdom in it. And it does, there are different ways to process it. So I'll talk about how I was able to use the DeMartini method today to process some wisdom that was coming up for me in the form of some very interesting symptoms, stress symptoms that I was experiencing. So now, let's take a look at the Mind Body Factor map. This is available free as a download. And here's the detailed portion of the map. And we're going to look at necks. So the neck, the common mind-body factor theme is that it represents your pains in the neck. And there's different kinds of symptoms. We've got neck pain and stiffness. Those are the 2 most common. And so when you're having neck pain, it usually is about stress turning to the feminine or the masculine. You're having a stress with a female or male. The left side's feminine, the right side's masculine. Now if you're when you think about, okay, I'm having pain in the neck, and depending on which side, it helps you start to narrow down where is that occurring. And once you identify the person, then you can actually start to go take some action. Sometimes you might just need to have a conversation. You know, maybe you've been avoiding something, or you could, you know, do something like the DiMartini method. You can go clean up that emotional charge, or you can do whatever other modalities. You know, even if you're getting body work or chiropractic or acupuncture or physical therapy, you usually will get better results if you're aware of what that pain represents. The more unaware you are, the more unconscious you are, that's where it doesn't work. And we struggle. And that's what I discovered in my career over the 18 years. Why did certain people respond well, and why did certain people struggle? And one of the factors was how conscious they were of their symptoms, and how conscious they were of their outer world and how it represented their inner world. The people who were more aware or more woke would tend to get better results. They were the ones that were more adaptable. They were the ones that were more on purpose. They were the ones that could manage their emotions and manage their thinking more effectively. They tended to get the better results. So anyway, so the question, you know, where or with who are you having stress about? Decisions, who's being a pain in the neck, are quality questions you can ask. Now, sometimes we have chronic symptoms, and sometimes they may be coming up for other reasons. So, perfect, Romulus, you'll love this story. So it's actually perfect that you showed up. So I was, me personally, I was starting to experience, I was starting to experience tiredness. I was starting to experience, I was actually starting to overeat and overdrink. I was actually starting to consume more wine earlier this week. Ended up consuming a bottle per day on Monday and Tuesday. And you know, I've done work on alcohol before using the DiMartini work. And when I did it last, a few years ago, it was about where I was feeling trapped and where I wasn't feeling free. And so I was feeling stuck. So I was having this stuckness, which, you know, I was also feeling a lot more tired. And so I reached out to one of my colleagues, Curtis Harrier, out of Austin, Texas. He's a DiMartini facilitator. And we started to look into it. And when we dug into it, we looked at moments where I was stuck. And we found a bunch of different moments. But I want to share this really cool one, which is at age 3. We went to a moment, and out came this memory. And I've revisited this one many times, where at age 3, I'm on a field trip during lunchtime, and I was feeling stuck because they were serving lunch. We were having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and pineapple juice. Now, I liked the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but I didn't like the pineapple juice. So I was feeling stuck. I was feeling angry, frustrated that they didn't have anything else to drink. And so this time, the emotional charge was I was feeling stuck about not being able to communicate that verbally. Not being able to communicate that verbally. When we really look into it, I was actually communicating that through my emotions, by crying, by expressing my stress. And that is actually an important part of communication. Not just our words, but the feeling and the emotions that we have behind it. You know, how emotionally balanced we are. And so by looking into it, I was actually able to really understand that I was communicating using my emotions and feelings, and that it was an effective form of communication, and that our body is, you know, helps us by giving symptoms and feedback to let us know if we're holding on to a lie. And so the lie I was holding on to, the stuckness, was thinking that, you know, words and being articulate was the only way. That was a imbalanced perception. And when I saw that I was actually doing both, and the communicating through emotions and feeling and non-verbally is another way, and it's actually wise to do both and appreciate both, that was the big insight. And when I saw that, I was able to really reconnect with my 3-year-old self and integrate that into me. And I had a huge emotional release. These are all the snot and the tear Kleenexes that came out of that collapse that we did, that Curtis guided me through. And it was quite profound and divine timing, because afterwards I felt my neck feel like so free, so much lighter. All this weight had lifted. And I had been carrying that emotional charge since I was 3. So I'm 37 now. That was 34 years. 34 years it was storing in the neck. And here's why. So if we look at the anatomy, we look near the neck. The neck has a lot of nerves, really dense in this area. So if we're having an emotional charge, the emotional charge will radiate out of the wiring in the neck. And so that's what we'll feel as the pain, or the stiffness, or the heaviness. And so, and that's what leads to chronic neck pain. If we're not just the current stresses, but being reminded of stresses in the past. So in my case, I was being reminded of of when I was feeling stuck at 3, and right now, I feel like I'm a 3-year-old trying to learn, online marketing. I had some tech glitches with the first broadcast this morning. A call came in and interrupted the broadcast. This is really new to me, so I'm literally feeling like I'm 3. So it was triggering all my, age 3 emotional charges. So it was perfect that I had a chance to look at it. And then, because I was feeling stressed, feeling stuck, I was starting to drink more wine. And I just, had this aha. I was like, oh, well, my emotional charge back then was about pineapple juice. Wine is basically, juice with alcohol. So I literally was unconsciously using the wine to trigger something that I needed to look back. My body and my mind were trying to get me to find the wisdom back then. So this is why we have, there's so many nerves there, and that's why it'll trigger. So it can be current stuff and past stuff. Now, if we move to the knees represent authority issues. So if you're having pain bending the knee, it's about stress bending to authority. And then if you have pain extending the knee, standing up, it's about stress with standing up to authority. Those are the common themes. So quality question is to ask, okay, if you're having knee pain, who are you having stress with and who is an authority? So again, if you look at the left, if it's occurring on the left side, check your female authority figures. If it's on the right side, check your male authority figures. And if no males or females come up, then look at, okay, is there any males acting feminine or females behaving masculine? And by feminine or masculine, feminine is represented by water, so it's being flow with, being more passive, cooling down. Masculine is fire, so it's about heating up. It's about growing, expansion, moving quickly. The other option is also look at, okay, where you may be the authority. So you might be stressed as the authority, having stress, experiencing stress, perceiving stress with people who are your subordinates. So those are some of the possibilities. And if you look at the knees, one area that really gets overlooked at when people have pain is actually it builds up in the back, right over here. So that's the popliteal nerve and the popliteal fossa. A lot of energy will build up back here. And since this is in the back of the body represents your past. So you can have emotional charges that have occurred, when you were young, and often, your early authority figures are your parents. So your parents or your teachers, preachers, friends you perceived as authorities, but usually the parents are more often than not, what it's about. And so you can use whatever modality you like, tapping into it. Becoming aware is the first step. So again, if you're more aware, your physical modalities, whether you're getting physical therapy, chiropractic work, body work, I find that if my clients are more aware of what we're working on, the physical stuff works better. Then there's the cognitive modalities, so like the DiMartini method. So you can use the DiMartini method and deal with the current stresses, but it's also wise to look at the original lie. So go back to earlier moments in the past, and you want to DiMartini those memories and find the wisdom in those, because that'll help work towards, if you're having chronic knee pain means it's reoccurring. So that means there's an emotional trigger, there's an emotional charge, there's a button there. And usually that button was formed very early in life. So, you know, I was holding on to stuff from 34 years ago, and I was feeling it in my chest and my neck. And so same for the knees. You can hold on to it anywhere here. It can build up back in the back of the calves. So often we'll find trigger points here, and the calves, you know, the theme there is resistance. You know, what we're resisting. So, you know, if our values are being challenged, we're resisting authority. We literally and figuratively dig our heels in. So your leg muscle, your nerves are being charged up right over here, and so the emotional charge is going to store right over there. And so anytime you're challenged as an authority or by an authority, that's where we'll find trigger points. And so sometimes, you know, it'll manifest as knee pain, because again, you know, we tend to contextualize our pain, and that's why it shows up in certain parts of the body. Or you know, it can show up as you know, pain in the Achilles, pain in the heel, or it can go up to the back. As you can see, all the nerves link up here. So you definitely want to check all along here. Like some people who do chiropractic and they're only doing adjustments, if they're only adjusting here, yes, that'll help, but in terms of providing more results more quickly, checking the whole nerve line is wise. And so the more you can look along the line and identify where the charges are physically, and also dig in, you know, check into the awareness of what it's about, then you're going to have a more complete healing, a deeper healing, and it'll occur faster. So that's that. Now, some additional questions. So let's say the map doesn't quite line up, because again, these are the most general themes, but yours might be more specific. Here's some additional quality questions. So I'll often ask people, okay, where does it hurt? You want to identify what location in the body. So where in the body? And then when does it hurt? Like, what's the specific movement? What's the specific action or inaction? And have them describe it. They'll actually say, okay, if it, you know, again, if we're dealing with knee pain, okay, it hurts when I stand up. Okay, good, because we're going to look for, if we start to look at, okay, where is that happening? Where are you having pain standing up to somebody? Or if it's hurting bending, where are you having pain bending to somebody? And what's the context? Is it, you know, when you're getting out of a chair, getting out of bed, getting out of the car? Is it going up and down stairs? Because that's going to add some additional context. So, you know, if it's going up the stairs, so where are you having pain stepping up? Or if you're having pain going down the stairs, where are you having pain coming down? Or if it's both, you could be polarized on both going up and coming down. Specific movement, you want to identify that. So the more you can gather this information, this gives you keywords. And it's like Google searching your mind and Google searching your conscious and unconscious to trigger it. What words describe the pain and discomfort? So again, we were doing that earlier, getting the words, just to make sure you got enough words. And then you can start to ask, okay, where is that happening? And when you start to identify where is that happening, another way you could ask, where is it showing up in your life? And so you start to look, okay, and then use the left side of the body, feminine, right side, masculine. So again, check your females, check your males, or check the feminine areas, check your masculine areas, check your females behaving in a masculine way or males acting in a feminine way. And the front, sometimes, you know, anything that shows up in the front is about the future. So it could be stuff about your perceiving more pain than pleasure occurring. If it's in the back, it might be, one, it might be triggered by something that's currently happening, but it also may point to a chronic symptom. So it may point to something that occurred many years ago. So if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing, you can also dig into that, especially if it's been a chronic issue. Now, my friend Evan Knight asked, what's a toothache? And yeah, I remember you were sharing last night when we were hanging out. I chipped some teeth. So if you have a toothache, or you know, you said you broke your tooth, you're probably doing this. There's a lot of this going on. So I would start to ask questions about, okay, where are you feel like you're not able to express yourself? Because often if we want to say something, but we're subordinating to authority, or we're perceiving more pain than pleasure to express it, we'll end up, you know, doing this, and then that's going to put pressure on the teeth, chronic pressure, and eventually it's going to break. So where are we holding stuff in? You know, where are we gritting our teeth? and there's actually going to be tension in the face and in the mouth. So that's where you want to check. And if you start to identify where it is, then you can start to take some action on it. You might have to, again, you may have to just have a conversation. You might need to get some coaching. You might need to talk to some friends. So, you know, once you become aware, that's the beauty of the mind-body factor, is that when you become aware of what it is, then you can start to take some action on it. So Noreen asks, okay, my son has been grinding his teeth at night. Any insights? Okay, well, ask him, start with, how is he feeling? Where is he feeling any stress? Where is it occurring in his life? He's definitely, he's been holding in things. So it'll show up at night. Another interesting that shows up at night is how people toss and turn, or they'll end up sleeping on their sides. So if you're tend to sleep on your left side, there's a polarization to the feminine. If you're sleeping on your right side, there's a polarization to the masculine. So those are some broad themes, and you can start to narrow it down. So Noreen, try asking your son about where is he feeling like he's struggling to express himself, or what does it feel like? Use these questions, and you can start to get some of the keywords, and he can become aware, and you can become aware, and then you can start to identify what the issue is and start taking some action on it. So great questions, Evan and Noreen. And if anybody on the replay has any questions, please ask. I love answering these questions. I'll probably do a Q&A pretty soon. Just trying to get this material out there, just so people are aware that it's out there, and we can start to play with it. Next week, I'm going to start to do some live demos. So I have 2 people lined up. I've got Liz Garcia. She's a DeMartini facilitator and a coach out of Los Angeles. And then I've got my other colleague, Antonio. And he's based in Miami. He has his own printing company, and he also does DeMartini method coaching. And he's going to be my other demo coming up next week. So I'll post on Facebook about that pretty soon. So I want to thank everybody who joined me again on the rebroadcast. Noreen, I saw that you were on the first time. I'm glad you came on again. Thank you for bearing with me for the tech glitch that occurred. The mind-body factor map right here. It's a free file that you can print out. It's my gift to you. You can download it at sugai.solutions/mind-body-factor-map. Gives you the top 7 most common body pains and what they mean. And you can watch the videos to get a little deeper dive into it, because I couldn't fit all that on one sheet. I wanted to keep it simple. So if you sign up, you'll also get some regular emails from me with all the rebroadcasts. And I'm also going to be sending out some other content, and I'll be doing some other stuff online in the coming future. So please stay tuned. So thank you for tuning in today live and on the replay. Again, if you have any questions or any insight, please post it in the comments, or feel free to message me. I love engaging with you, and thank you for engaging with me. Really appreciate it. You're helping my 3-year-old self express feelings and emotions, and I got to really connect with that this morning. So big thank you to Curtis. We did a session before we broadcasted today, and that really helped. So the more that you can clean up your past, the more that you can connect with what these symptoms are, amazing things come out. And not just pain relief, but things that help you with whatever you're working on. So I was able to tap into my mind-body factor today, and really get to reconnect with some wisdom that I've been waiting for me to discover for 34 years. So I look forward to the discoveries you make, and getting connected with your mind-body factor, and your mind and body. So thank you very much. Aloha. I'll see you next time. Bye.